I am going to say this with a smile because it is just so fantastic. MAGA is crumbling. MAGA is in revolt. MAGA is in a civil war. And it is not just the voting base. It is not just their propagandists. It is happening within Donald Trump's White House. And today's culprit is Kash Patel, who Donald Trump is furious with as MAGA turns on him. We are going to get into the beautiful catastrophe happening in the White House. But before we do, if I could quickly ask you to leave a like on this video, and if you haven't already and you enjoy our channel, to hit that subscribe button because it goes a long way in supporting our work. Now, before we get into how MAGA is turning on Kash Patel for his latest scandal turned incredibly fatal, I want to start with the other scandal plaguing Kash Patel, broken down by Senator Chris Murphy right here.
House Democrats are investigating his use of the FBI private jet, now demanding he pay the government back after using it for what they call personal trips, which have been documented by FlightAware and others about the use of the plane, reportedly to see his girlfriend perform at a wrestling event and for hunting and golf trips. He does deny any wrongdoing, says he's restricted from commercial air travel. What do you see right now for where this is going and his leadership of the FBI?
Well, we've probably never seen an FBI director care so little about his job as Kash Patel. He does seem to be spending most of his time gallivanting around the country, visiting his girlfriend, going on golf trips with his buddies, getting as close to the MAGA celebrity world as is humanly possible. And he's racking up all these huge bills on us, the taxpayers, right? These are ordinary, average Americans, plumbers, teachers, pipe fitters who are paying the bills for his celebrity lifestyle. He could simply choose not to take these trips and to focus his time on his job, protecting the American people, or he could pay back the taxpayers. I mean, he's probably a pretty rich guy because he's spent a lot of his life hawking cash merchandise, trying to profit off of his proximity to Donald Trump. He certainly has the cash to pay back the poor people, the middle class families who are fronting his lavish lifestyle. Yeah, I think part of the reason that Trump's approval ratings are continuing to sink is because they're watching these really unserious people, from Pete Hegseth to Kash Patel, caring about a lot of other things than protecting us, saving their own hide, hanging out with their friends, and I think it disgusts a lot of Americans.
Corruption is just, I guess, a prerequisite of serving in Donald Trump's administration. Like, if you're going to be part of the MAGA movement, you might as well cash in on the cash grab, and that is exactly what Kash Patel is doing. I guess it's kind of fitting. It's quite literally in his name. But it's been tough for Donald Trump to defend this, not because he doesn't like government corruption. He loves government corruption, but government corruption that gets in the way of him avoiding real accountability for the media. No, he certainly doesn't like that. He likes to avoid the accountability while him doing the corruption and doing it in secret and lying about it. And of course, the press is usually distracted and dumb enough to not ask Donald Trump those questions. But now Donald Trump is being asked questions about a different Kash Patel scandal, and that is the FBI's complete failure once again to track down a shooter who is still on the loose. Donald Trump was asked about it today. Before we get to how this is destroying Kash Patel within MAGA, it's important to listen to what Trump had to say.
So go ahead.
On Brown University, Mr. President, do you know what the motive of the shooter was? Was it
No, we don't.
attack?
No, that's moving along now, and we don't. And we're going to see what happens. Hopefully, they're going to capture this animal. Hopefully, they're going to capture it.
Has Kash Patel told you why it's been so difficult for the FBI to identify who the shooter is?
Well, it's always difficult. So far, we've done a very good job of doing it with Charlie, with the various times this has happened. They've done it in pretty much record time. But you really have to ask the school a little bit more about that, because this was a school problem. They had their own guards, they had their own police, they had their own everything. But you'd have to ask that question really to the school, not to the FBI. We came in after the fact, and the FBI will do a good job, but they came in after the fact.
So not really a defense of Kash Patel, I would point out there, not really jumping in front of that bullet to say, no, I'm supportive of Kash, I'm backing Kash. He's A-okay with Donnie. He didn't say that. He didn't make it clear that he had his guys back. And why It is because Donald Trump doesn't. Something that these people somehow have not learned is that Donald Trump, above all else, demands loyalty. He does not offer it to you, though. It is not a two-way street. You are always serving Donald Trump, and sometimes that means he will throw you out on the street, and he doesn't really care, as long as it's serving his interest. And that is why Megyn Kelly, who is a close ally of Donald Trump, calling out Kash Patel today, showing the fracturing within MAGA is so damaging for one of the dumbest members of Donald Trump's administration. Megyn Kelly tears into friend Keystone Cash over bungled probe. Megyn Kelly has joined in on the MAGA meltdown over her pal Kash Patel's latest manhunt blunder. The conservative firebrand, 55, couldn't hide her disappointment with the FBI director, 45, after he touted the detention of a person of interest in the mass shooting at Brown University, who was later released after authorities admitted they got the wrong guy. I really actually think we can get past person of interest turned out not to be the person. I think we can get past it, but it has to require utter, blatant transparency and honesty. But I'm not going to lie, it's not good, Kelly said on a Monday episode of her podcast. It's not good that our friend Kash Patel tweeted out they have a person of interest in custody and kind of patting themselves on the back when it wasn't the guy. None of this is good, she went on. Patel announced in an Twitter post, on Sunday, that the FBI detained a person of interest after a shooter killed 2 students and injured 9 others at the Brown University campus in Providence, Rhode Island. This FBI will continue an all-out 24/7 campaign until justice is fully served, he wrote as he thanked agents for their teamwork. Mere hours later, however, Rhode Island Attorney General said that the person of interest would be released after authorities found that the evidence now points in a different direction. The Attorney General said Patel was fully aware of the 180-degree twist that meant the shooter remains at large. The high-profile faux pas was another huge blow for Patel, who has been mockingly referred to as Keystone Cash after the bumbling police troop from the 1912 silent film, even by Kelly herself. I'm sorry, but Keystone Cops come to mind when you look at what happened at Brown University over the past 36 hours, she said. Now, how much time has been lost in tracking the real killer because they were focused on this guy? This is the reason why Donald Trump and Kash Patel's freak out, their faux freak out after the shooting of Charlie Kirk really did not land with me for a myriad of other reasons. But these guys have never taken their job seriously. Kash Patel does not take his job seriously because he is not a serious person. If he was, there would be a real response. This would not be the umpteenth failure that we have seen from Kash Patel. But he is an idiot, chosen by an idiot, who has no interest in actually keeping our country safe. So when they talk about crime, when they talk about drugs, when they talk about political violence as a tool, as a rhetorical framework to go after the left somehow, I don't really buy it, and nobody should. And even MAGA isn't at this point because the coalition is fracturing. And Donald Trump is increasingly giving up on Kash Patel. He is. He is increasingly tired of his shit, and he could certainly be the first to go. There's already been conversations about shakeups at the FBI. Maybe Dan Bongino is on his way out. Kash Patel could be as well. There's a deputy director of the FBI not named Dan Bongino, I sound like Porky Pig there, who's ready to step in. It could be over for Kash, but it's because MAGA is splintering. God, that's so beautiful to say. And it's really great to listen to Ari Melber say it as well.
When things start changing in politics, they can change fast. We started the year hearing all about Donald Trump's comeback and how he had a mandate and Elon Musk could do what he wants and the courts wouldn't stop him. And for a minute there, it looked like that. But a lot has changed. The breaking point is always hard to find in real time. Historians have the job of combing through all the stuff we live through day by day and finding it. But if there is one, it maybe the Epstein vote that showed the emperor has no clothes, Republicans weren't scared of Trump, and after they rejected him and his bid to hide Epstein last month, the files and everything else, they didn't pay a price. If anything, they are finding that disagreement with Trump in public may help them distance themselves from his sagging poll numbers. And now there are cracks in the wall going into 26. Trump reportedly losing ground not just among independents and moderates, but among his MAGA base. He has an 8-point drop in the strong approval rating for MAGA Republicans. You may say, okay, he's still got support there, but they're not necessarily strongly standing by everything. The Post reports that rank-and-file Republicans in Washington feel the heat on health care and just unpopular positions Trump has forced them to take on slashing the safety net and health care funding and Obamacare subsidies. One House Republican office gets 300 calls a day just on the health care issue. Politico reporting that in deep red Montana, there's a revolt against the impact of all of those cuts from Musk and folks saying, I didn't vote for this. MAGA leaders also warning that the base is checking out, which is a problem for someone like Trump, who does best when he has his 40, 42, 38% checked in. A pollster who works with Republicans told Trump there's a disconnect between the Trump administration and what it's focused on and what the passionate base of supporters actually want to see. In this story, he recounts telling Trump, you said fight, fight, fight. Nobody ever clarified what that means. And fight now, you're fighting MTG and not actually fighting for Americans. And that, of course, is just the base. Broadly, Trump is at a second-term low. The price problem, the inflation, the Epstein scandal, California Governor Newsom saying National Guard troops are now out of L.A. because of another Trump loss. It took a while, but a judge ordered them out. And while Trump was testing his power and may have gotten away with some flexing for some time, it also, like the Epstein case, has revealed the limits of his ability to put the military folks you see here in American streets indefinitely. And if that was a plan to mess with the public or the midterms or a future election, well, Trump is finding that losing in court is reminding everyone, including those troops, there are limits set by people other than the commander-in-chief. It is a grim picture for Republicans going into the midterms, and conservatives know it.
Hard stops in American politics typically create massive political blowback, and 2026 looks like it's going to be pretty ugly for Republicans anyways. The political blowback is going to lead to Democrats in power in 2028.
You can't gaslight people and tell them that their bills are affordable, and you can't tell them that the economy is an A+++. You just can't do that. And I think it's insulting to people's intelligence.
A lot of folks are talking in terms of messaging and PR. And that's a language Donald Trump understands. He just told the Journal, we'll see what happens. We should win, but, statistically, it's very tough to win. And he's right.
It's all fracturing. It's all breaking apart. And it warms my heart. It makes me so happy. And I love talking about it. And we are going to continue to talk about it on this show. And if you want to support that, as always, you can hit that subscribe button, leave a like on this video. If you stuck around to the end, drop a blue heart in the comments. Keep on fighting, y'all. Don't let them silence you. And until next time, I'll see you soon.